If you look deep within the anal cavity of financial history, you will see that few figures have disrupted the status quo as dramatically as a man named Keith Gill.
Well, we're coming back with breaking news because the live stream has finally started. You can see that right there.
Known to his legion of very, very loyal online followers as Roaring Kitty, Gill's journey from obscure random white guy financial analyst fellow to linchpin of a stock market upheaval began in the unassuming days of 2019.
Basically, GameStop started as a meme, but it's been pushed to a completely different level now.
This story is absolutely mind-boggling. Roaring Kitty, aka Keith Gill, is really cool, and with what's been happening recently in regard to the stock market and what he's doing, it's kind of telling and embarrassing for Wall Street, to be honest. Lots of shit is embarrassing for Wall Street. This especially is just like, really, guys?
Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, kickstarted the meme stock craze 3 years ago, sending the price of GameStop, AMC, BlackBerry soaring. The Massachusetts resident and his army of retail investors took to social media and with online chatter and memes, brought major hedge funds to their knees and made lots of money.
Come on, like, you want us to just not trust the system at all? Back in 2019, before all of this started, Gill was meticulously analyzing the financial landscape, honing in on a seemingly doomed company. That company was known as GameStop. Ever heard of it?
It's July 2020 right now, and I'm bullish on GameStop at the current price point of about $4 per share. $260 million market cap. I've been adding to the position the past couple weeks. It's been trading below $4 per share, and it's now the largest position in the Roaring Kitty model portfolio. So, yeah, I have a lot to say about it. I've been tracking it for a while.
I've never been scammed more by one store in my whole life. The only reason I like GameStop is because of Keith Gill, and because it's a stock, and because of what happened in the store. GameStop me over so many times. The dude at GameStop told my mom that Mass Effect had sex scenes in 2009. That was an L, and I didn't get it, obviously, and I didn't know either. But still, thank you for saving me, I guess. But also, it's like he tattled on me. B, I probably spent 20 grand on games, working my ass off to pay for them as a child, and then got cents, pennies on the dollar for them. They scammed me. They deserve all this. You know, they deserve all of it. I have a little bit of respect for GameStop. I love GameStop. I love the look of it. I just would go randomly for some reason. I don't know why. Consoles, I miss it all. It's very nostalgic.
Hey there, YouTube. It's about 9:45 on the 9th of November 2009, and I'm going to get in line for Modern Warfare 2 midnight release.
Anyways, Gill's background is about as unremarkable as it is foundational for his later success in the financial world. It is a very unremarkable background. It's so interesting, but not actually though, you know? It's unremarkable. That's the word, the meaning of that word. Mr. Gill hailed from Massachusetts. You know, Boston? Wait, Massachusetts is the state. Boston's the city. That's right. I get them mixed up sometimes. I'm just kidding. I don't. I'm just lying. Okay? I'm lying. Comment about it though, please. Gill hails from Massachusetts, where he worked for a long time as a financial analyst for Mass Mutual, a company that specializes in financial wellness education. What is that? I have no idea, and I'm not gonna look it up.
Planning for your financial well-being can sometimes feel overwhelming. However, there are 4 areas where you can take deliberate steps to keep moving forward.
I'm not gonna look it up, and I'm not gonna put a definition of it on the screen right now for you guys to read. Have fun learning though, because I'm not. Bro's days were quite literally spent crunching numbers and crafting investment strategies. Oh, boring. But his nights though, different story entirely. One night he would spill cocaine and Monster onto his laptop, and it would become self-aware, and it would, you know, I don't know. I'm making shit up. It's reference, you guys won't get it. At night and online, Gill would adopt the persona of Roaring Kitty, and he would share his investment insights and strategies on YouTube and Reddit.
GameStop is one of the most compelling asymmetric opportunities in the market today. Really, I don't understand how you could disagree with that. That's why it's the top position in my portfolio and also Dr. Mike Berry's portfolio. Well, based on prevailing sentiment, the market, and popular culture, many think it's a foolish investment. But everyone's wrong.
Specifically, Reddit. That was the first place that I ever saw him, I guess. Reddit. Mr. Gill is not just any analyst, though. He's an extremely passionate advocate for value investing, and he often focuses on stocks that the market has neglected, or what he believes the market has had neglected.
Like I said, there's a lot of aspects of it, a lot of moving parts to this bull thesis, but I've boiled it down to just what I consider the three overs. Digital risks seem to me to be overblown, the negative sentiment is overdone, and the value is overlooked. In fact, I think the GameStop stock is, it epitomizes value investing. It's like value investing at its finest because it's such a classic case of value investing. We'll get into it later. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it's just a classic value stock.
Monster stock for a time, I believe, was neglected. GameStop, massively neglected. And other than that, I don't really know that much about the stock market.
Isn't that how we made everything up and it still sucks? Isn't that crazy? Like, they turn the stock market off every night and they turn it back on every morning. And they're like, we're in a bubble. It's gonna burst. The recession is looming any day now. Everything will collapse. It's like, then leave it off.
I've read a lot of books. I just don't keep up with it. I don't give a I want it all to go to zero, to be honest with you. That's a lie, because a lot of people's lives would be ruined. I just want some people's lives to be ruined. You get me? You get me? You get what I'm saying? You guys ever want people's lives to be ruined? People you never met? Isn't that weird? Now, Gill's belief during this time, you can see this stock chart thing. GameStop. Yeah, this is before. We're talking about before. This is where we are right here. Before the big thing. Okay, guys? His belief in GameStop's potential was incredibly unconventional, to say the least.
There was an article in May 2019 by Wedbush Securities. I mean, maybe they're biased too. Maybe they're bullish on GameStop, but they talk about a number of things that like kind of counter that point, that everything's going digital. Like sales of the FIFA game was still 75% discs in 2018. I don't even know the accuracy of that. I see the report that they're citing, but
because the video game retailer is known for a trade-in policy that is essentially thievery, modern day thievery. It's like usury, but instead of for lending and finance and interest rates, it's actually just thievery. It's stealing, essentially. People feel shortchanged quite often when they go to GameStop. And as a result of this meme and reality, it seems like for a while, GameStop was struggling. TBH, I gotta stop saying that. Get out of me, get out of me, get out of me, get out of me, word, get out of me, get out of me, get out of me. I need a sermon. Someone pray for me down below. Thank you. In spite of all this just nonsense, Gill saw something others didn't. Posting under the alias Deep Value on Reddit's Wall Street Bets page, he began sharing his insights to many, and those people started to believe. At first, though, his analysis did seem outlandish to some, but Gill, undeterred, he was convinced GameStop was massively undervalued and was poised for a big chungus rebound. I said big chungus because it's on Reddit. Get it? It's like a Reddit thing.
There's some legitimacy to some of these things. I'm not saying that these things are all ridiculous. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's just so much of it that I think that's a part of the reason that it's weighing on GameStop stock price so much in July 2020, because it's really heavy. It's really heavy to get out from underneath that. It's part of the reason you see such heavy short interest as well. But I think this has led to an opportunity. That's what I think.
The rebound specifically was poised, particularly with the impending release of the new consoles from Sony and Microsoft at the time, it was a while ago.
This transition to digital, I think it's just much slower than what's being priced in. It seems to me that it's been happening over time. I do think it's inevitable. Like if we're looking out 50 years, 100 years, we don't need to have a discussion because we're on the same page. Everything's going to be digital. I just don't think we're there yet. And this is meaningful because 2020 is when the consoles are coming out. It does matter where we are today and where we'll be the next couple years. You can't just say we're going fully digital, so that's the end of the discussion. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing.
The 9th generation of video game consoles were released around November 2020. It's kind of what we're referring to here. Gill meticulously analyzed GameStop's financials, the balance sheet. He noticed that in spite of the struggles, the company was strategically positioned to benefit from the next generation of gaming consoles.
But also noteworthy is it was fairly stable through the last console refresh, right? That matters. And then you have the Switch too. Sometimes these are staggered. The Switch was a couple years back. That's stabilizing things a bit. But But anyway, you see this big drop down, and this year, I think because so much is going on, tail end of a console cycle, people withholding purchase and so forth, and the pandemic. But I think this big drop down, as opposed to it being fairly stable, as opposed to it being fairly stable, I think you might get a big jump next year, year over year. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just theorizing.
I did this basically the same thing with Best Buy about 7 years ago, maybe a little earlier, I can't remember. I don't know. I made $45,000 on Best Buy, and I think around the same on Netflix, before I was a YouTuber, which was really cool. That was awesome. I didn't have any money, and it was really cool. And then I just haven't done anything on the stock market since, because it feels like gambling, kind of, in a really weird way, you know, in the same way that masturbating feels like sex. I don't know. Gill's deep dives into the company's quarterly earnings, cash flow statements, and market position painted a picture of a company that was truly undervalued by Wall Street and the cronies there, but had enormous potential for a turnaround, an impending turnaround.
Either we're all wrong, or everyone's looking at the wrong stuff, and if they've gotten the wrong impression, which I've seen happen before, but this is something. This is something because it's some of the biggest. It's one of the biggest misperceptions I've seen in a while. I think ever, maybe, I don't know. Maybe not ever. I don't know.
You see, for Gill, this wasn't just about numbers. This was about narrative. This is what the internet loves. A good underdog story.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
Oh! Ever heard of the good underdog story? Of course you have. Because you pay attention, you're smart. You're smart. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise. You stupid. So the world is in full COVID-19 pandemic swing.
It does not come from the influenza virus, you jackass. It has to come from the same virus to be in the same family. Viruses come in families. Stop touching niggas with your hand.
I'm moving from Virginia to Texas. Everyone's and balls swinging, flapping in the wind, or whatever they do. Basically, everybody has problems, but a new wave of retail investors emerged, armed with stimmy checks. Did you guys get stimmy checks? I did.
The IRS says Americans who make $99,000 or less receive Social Security, disability, or have no income could see up to $1,200 in a few weeks. The fastest way to get that payment is to file your taxes.
Unfortunately. But also fortunately. Actually, I did. I bought a cock with it. There's a big cock out there. I got a stimulus check by mistake. So I just bought a with it. The government sucks, to be honest. These patriots, armed with stimmy checks and a desire to challenge the financial establishment, were led by Gill to a great event. A great war, if you will.
After hitting an all-time low of $2.80 in April of 2020, GameStop closed Friday at $65.01, after shooting up 51% that same day. It even hit a high of $76.76 during the day on Friday, getting the stock halted several times due to it moving so quickly.
By the time 2021 comes to an end and we enter January 2021, GameStop stock is at $17.25. At some point during the month, the stock exploded to over $500 per share pre-market, okay? Adjusted, it's like 125, but still it's 30 times more value at a certain point. That is wild. That is so much interest.
The GameStop share movement was a bit like a roller coaster.
This roller coaster was like one of those ones that actually shoots you right out the gate from the beginning and kind of just like shoots you right up to the top.
Investors who had taken these long positions on GameStop started to post pictures of their investment gains.
And this is a cool underdog story, but it's even cooler because it triggered a short squeeze, which I will explain in a moment, that absolutely decimated hedge funds betting against the company, betting against GameStop. That's how hedge funds make a lot of their money, is by betting against companies and shorting them. Shorting a stock, by the way, if you didn't know, is when you borrow shares from a broker and you sell them on the open market and you expect the price to drop. That's how you make money, is by having the price drop. When the price drops, you buy the share and then you sell it back to the broker and then you keep the profit, or the profit split, whatever.
Here's Jack. Jack has heard that Goliath National Bank is in financial trouble and expects their stock price to go down. In order to profit from his prediction, Jack will short GNB. But how does this work? Jack calls his broker and tells him that he wants to short one share of GNB. To do this, the broker needs to find one share to lend to Jack. The broker can look at a few different places, including his stock inventory and his clients' portfolios. The broker will then sell the share on the market for Jack. GNB stock was trading at $100, which will be credited to Jack's brokerage account. Because the stock price dropped and Jack made a bet against the stock, Jack stands to make a profit by buying back or covering GNB. Jack calls his broker and tells him to cover his position in GNB. Jack sold GNB stock for $100 and bought it back for $70. Awesome. Jack made a profit of $30. Jack also has to pay a small fee to the broker for the right to borrow the stock.
It's very common. It's very, very, very common. It's not exactly like a cool thing to do. It seems kind of like shitty. I don't know why that's a thing. Makes sense, I guess. I'm not huge into the financial world. I like throwing my money at people and stuff. I don't really like the stock market. Call me an idiot or whatever, or whatever. I'd much rather invest in crypto than the stock market or real estate or businesses. I don't really know. Or guitars or guns or ammunition. A lot of ammunition. At a certain point, ammunition will be more valuable than stocks. I'm not a financial guy, so if you want to learn more about that, go somewhere else. I mentioned the term short squeeze. That is when someone who is with the stock market, essentially they're trying to short a stock, and then the price goes up and it goes so high that they're going to lose a lot of money because their short is so low and it's so different from the actual price that they end up actually buying the stock to realize the loss of the short, but hopefully make up. So it's like they're trying to not lose money, and they're also trying to make a little bit of money to get back some of the money that they lost. So it ends up driving the stock price even higher, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't. I apologize.
If the price of these shares starts to rise when you've got a bet on that they're going to fall, you get in trouble quite quickly, and you quite quickly get to the point where you've got to buy these shares back at a much higher price. You get squeezed out of that position.
But yeah, during this time, early 2021, the financial world watched in horror and shock as a horde of from Reddit, galvanized by Roaring Kitty's unwavering belief, turned the stock market on its head.
As the stock soared, the financial world was left stunned.
We are seeing a phenomenon that I have never seen.
There's nothing normal about what you're seeing when it comes to this stock right now.
Just kidding, by the way. There were a lot of very intelligent, smart, brave people that did something really cool and legendary that I love to see. And it's because of this time in history that Roaring Kitty has become a legend in the financial world. And in one of his most memorable moves, Gil posted a screenshot of his GameStop's holding on Reddit, showcasing his massive gains. He made so much money, literally hundreds of millions of dollars. Actually, all these posts, and the reality of the situation is that this man is an actual market influencer, an actual guy who changed the stock market against all odds. They tried their best to stop it. They tried their best to prevent hedge funds from losing the money. They halted the trading of the stock illegally, some might say. Oh, and they tried to send him to jail. We'll get into that.
Meme stock investor Keith Gill, also known as Roaring Kitty, of course, on social media, he's under regulatory scrutiny. The Massachusetts securities regulator looking into Gill's GameStop trading activity and social media use.
As a result of all this, there was, as you probably can imagine, a second wind to GameStop. GameStop's future, it essentially is owed to Roaring Kitty. The existence of GameStop is owed to Roaring Kitty, in my personal opinion. This whole thing was really, really, really cool, and Gil was teaching a lot of people about short squeezes and how you can kind of just go, hey, you guys, sometimes, and become wealthy because of it, and sort of make the world a little bit of a better place using something that generally makes the world a place that we have less control over, I guess, and that a very few amount of people have control over. It was really this man's transparency and his willingness to share a strategy that he created to a community of like-minded individuals who believe that they could also make a difference and get some money as well. It's very impressive and rare and cool. He's like Robin Hood, essentially. Speaking of Robin Hood, a little segue there, an interesting fact is that during the peak of this frenzy, Robin Hood, a popular trading platform, you guys have probably seen it, it's like an app and stuff, they restricted trading on GameStop and several other stocks, citing the need to comply with clearinghouse deposit requirements.
It would be really hard to tell the story of what happened with GameStop without telling the story of Robinhood, which is a zero commission trading platform in the US that's got a really slick app and it makes it really easy to trade.
It actually gamified it, and you don't have to buy whole shares. You can just buy small sections of shares. Confetti goes up. It sort of makes the whole experience fun.
Little sprinkling of dynamite on all this. Retail investors had access to the options market, which hasn't previously really been open to them, and that's a way to really soup up your bets. So when you bring together the huge pot of people who are looking to dabble in markets, and the fact that it was really cheap to do, and the fact that you can play in options, and you can all talk about what your strategy is online, you have a real tinderbox.
This decision led to a sharp drop in GameStop's stock price and sparked outrage, as you can imagine, among retail investors who use the platform primarily to trade stock. So it's like, oh, here's a platform for retail investors, people who's, they're not masters of the universe. Here you go, guys. Finally, they're making money. Oh, no, you can't. You can't do that. Suck my. The general consensus at the time, and I feel like anyone with a functioning brain could probably see that Robinhood was trying to protect institutional investors at their own expense. Now, all this being said, you guys can probably imagine that with great disruption of some kind of system like the stock market comes great scrutiny. There's got to be some kind of law that our old boy Gil broke. Institutional investors and regulators probably would have a hard time believing that an ordinary man with a YouTube channel who live streams and posts on Reddit under the pseudonym Roaring Kitty could orchestrate such incredible chaos. And yeah, that's true. They couldn't believe that because in February 2021, Keith Gill was summoned to testify before Congress.
Member McHenry, members of the committee. I'm happy to discuss with the committee my purchases of GameStop shares and my discussions of their fair value on social media. It is true that my investment in that company multiplied in value many times. For that, I feel enormously fortunate. I also believe the current price of the shares demonstrates that I've been right about the company.
Which is nonsense, but he remained composed and insisted that his actions were based on publicly available information and a genuine belief in GameStop's potential.
I am not an institutional investor, nor am I a hedge fund. I do not have clients, and I do not provide personalized investment advice for fees or commissions. I'm just an individual whose investment in GameStop and posts on social media were based upon my own research and analysis.
Which is like hard to believe if you're one of these people, a lizard, a human lizard person. His defense was very straightforward and I loved it, man.
The idea that I use social media to promote GameStop stock to unwitting investors and influence the market is preposterous. My post did not cause the movement of billions of dollars into GameStop shares. It is tragic that some people lost money and my heart goes out to them. But what happened in January just demonstrates again that investing in public securities is extremely risky.
I did not solicit anyone to buy or sell the stock for my own profit. I like the stock. Based, red pilled, Roaring Kitty, awesome.
I also want to say that I support retail investors' right to invest in what they want, when they want. I support the right of individuals to send a message based on how they invest. As for me, I like the stock. I'm as bullish as I've ever been on a potential turnaround for GameStop, and I remain invested in the company. Thank you. Cheers, everyone.
Unfortunately, though, in spite of his calmness and honesty, the scrutiny intensified. Massachusetts state regulators fined his former employer, MassMutual, $4 million for failing to supervise his trading activities. What? The allegations that they were trying to throw painted a picture of manipulation, but Gill's supporters saw him as a hero standing up against the entrenched financial elite.
The obvious comparison is David and Goliath.
This was David taking on Goliath in its purest form, at least in the early days, right? This was educated investors on the Wall Street Bets Forum. They said, this is something that once we get it going, we really can take down some of these hedge funds.
Yeah, this guy's awesome. I wish more people knew about him. I don't care about finance stuff at all. This guy's a legend and is absolutely worth all of you checking out. He's back now. That's the whole point of this video, because this back.
Oh, you can hear me. Oh, excellent. I had to dust this shit off to get this working. Oh, you brought me back to life with the chat. It's like the
He's back. Ultimately, to no one's surprise, there was the conclusion that there was no evidence of market manipulation and Gill was vindicated. This was an incredibly significant vindication for this man. His stance that he had done nothing wrong, completely affirmed 100% in the eyes of the law and the eyes of the people, which it always was in the eyes of the people, to be fair.
Yeah, those are my only positions. You know, as you know about me, I'll take it's a true YOLO again, I suppose, depending on, I know there's some cash there, that's what I mean, it depends on your positions, but
During the time all this was happening, there was a lot of media coverage of this because it was ridiculous, especially his congressional testimony. It was intense. The whole thing was intense. There were crazy headlines, some painting him as a villain asshole, some painting him as a hero. Now, it seems like they don't like him. It seems like Yahoo Finance doesn't really like this guy, I'm gonna be honest. It seems like a lot of these people just don't really like this. Now on to GameStop, because they profited heavily from this in many ways. A belief of people and also just a lot of money, pretty much.
It's the situation where there's a lot of hype around the stock. Obviously, the stock price has risen quite a bit, and the company is doing exactly what it should do. It's raising money on the back of that, and it's buying itself more time to figure out what the ultimate plan is.
Thanks to Roaring Kitty, GameStop underwent a transformation, a remarkable one, I think. Many people, myself included, had written this asshole of a company as a relic of a bygone era, an era that we are glad to see ushered out. But under the new leadership of Ryan Cohen, the guy who invented that dog website, Chewy, founded it, co-founded it, pretty cool to be honest. It's the Chewy guy. You know, I get packages from Chewy all the time. GameStop pivoted to e-commerce and began exploring modern business avenues. For some reason, it took this for them to do that. They did their best to kind of fit in the digital age.
One of the co-founders of this online pet food retailer called Chewy was appointed to the GameStop board. That was seen as a sign that GameStop was going to become a more digital forward business. And the day that Ryan Cohen was appointed to the board of GameStop, the share price rose 13%. And then 2 days later, it rose over 50%. And then the next day, it rose another 27%.
In my opinion, which I'm not a very smart guy, Gil's influence breathed a new life into the company, and he's completely responsible, and he should have a board seat. I think he should be a part of GameStop at a business level, at a directorate level. He should be in the C-suite of GameStop. He should be the CFO of GameStop. 100%. They shook up the board back then anyways. They should keep shaking it up and bring him in. They brought in a bunch of new members with expertise in technology and digital transformation. Ryan Cohen was kind of at the head of it, I guess. I don't really know, dude. He brought his Chewy e-commerce experience. It's pretty cool. I don't really know. Let's check out how they're doing right now. Let's see. Let's check out the website. GameStop. Wow. Just as I remember. Graded collectibles. It's pretty cool. Oh, wow. There's actually some good shit on here. Holy shit. 2018 Top Superstars FS5 Shohei Ohtani PSA 10? What? Yeah, they're kind of thriving now, I guess. They're still losing a lot of money, which is funny to me because it's like it sucks still. The best part about GameStop is Roaring Kitty.
Okay, GameStop's an interesting situation, but again, how are they going to fix the business? Or is this kind of like just another flash in the pan where, you know, traders take advantage, there's a lot of volatility, it's a lot of fun, and then, you know, the earnings chicken comes home to roost, and you have to deal with the actual underlying business at some point.
That's just the truth. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. The best part about GameStop 100% is Massachusetts man. For sure.
Okay, yeah, so I hope everyone's doing well. It's been a few years now. I hope y'all are good. We've been doing okay here, hanging in there. This, you may not, I mean, I was just messing around with this. This isn't a real bandage. This isn't a real, what do you call this, a splint? Is that the word? It's not real. I'm messing around right now. I'm messing around, okay?
Now, I personally would like to bring up the fact that this story has highlighted a massive double standard in the financial world, which obviously any old world's gonna have massive double standards, but this guy faced accusations of market manipulation for just being fun and cool and doing something unique with GameStop and over a bunch of hedge funds.
I am not an institutional investor, nor am I a hedge fund. I do not have clients, and I do not provide personalized investment advice for fees or commissions. I'm just an individual whose investment in GameStop and posts on social media were based upon my own research and analysis.
There are politicians that exist, lots of them, with uncanny, seemingly inhuman stock picking abilities. But these people, they go unchallenged, all right? Figures like Nancy Pelosi, who consistently outperform the market, they rarely face the same level of scrutiny as Mr. Gill. Why is that, I wonder?
Your girl Nancy hold up, let me say it this way. Your girl Pansy Pelosi made $1.8 million in 92 days off of her NVIDIA trade. Family, where's she getting this crystal ball information from? Some people were accusing her of insider trading, but again, allegedly, supposedly, hypothetically, nobody's trying to get sued. She clearly got a crystal ball, and we got to see How is she doing that?
It's quite the disparity. Is there something I'm missing? Picture this. A regular individual with a pretty cool name and a seemingly cool guy disrupts the market. The establishment moves in quickly to accuse first and investigate later, and then exonerate, obviously. Yet, when seasoned politicians, year after year, somehow outperform the greatest investment funds of all time, they just get glossed over. Why the is that? Huh? Why can they even do that? Why can they even invest? In 2023, a report by Unusual Whales revealed that members of Congress, including names like Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, you know, that old guy who dies every now and then, who literally dies, and he just goes,
we're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Okay, Mitch? Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press? Okay.
These often report significant gains to the stock market, as I've said 15 times. Suspiciously timed trades, okay, guys? There is a Stock Act that was passed in 2012, which was supposed to prevent lawmakers from trading based on non-public information, but these politicians still seem to effortlessly outperform the market at every turn, and more so during times of great crisis like COVID. That's weird. Maybe they know something we don't know. I don't know though, guys. I'm just an idiot. Yeah, it's up though. Unusual Whales. Roaring Kitty. Who are these people? Systemic double standards. What is all this? What am I even talking about right now? I especially like this part of the report where Nancy Pelosi makes timely trades in tech stocks just before gigantic major legislative announcements, personally causing me to raise one eyebrow. The Rock style, not both eyebrows, like, but like, what? Insider knowledge? Nah, just financial genius. Nancy Pelosi. She will burn in hell, I believe. I don't know, maybe. They all will. I will. I'm a senator as well. Let's not get it fucking twisted. And that kind of combined with Mitch McConnell's fairly well-timed investments in healthcare stocks during COVID-19. A lot of questions from the public. How fair are these trades? You know, what rules are these people living by? Are they the same rules that we are living by? Are the people who we are putting in power living by the same rules that we, the people who put them in power, living by? Are we all equal or not? Not in the world of finance. By the way, there's been like no public criticism. There's just random fringe ass groups on Twitter and shit that call these people out. Meanwhile, Roaring Kitty is slandered by mainstream media for a long ass time. It's ridiculous. And investigated, has to testify in front of Congress.
I like the stock. I'm as bullish as I've ever been on a potential turnaround for GameStop, and I remain invested in the company.
Anyways, after a 3-year hiatus, Roaring Kitty has returned to social media. The year is 2024. He has reignited the fervor amongst retail investors. He announced a $300 million position in GameStop, and that reinvigorated the stock price, to be fair.
You know that meme too, where the guy wakes up and it's like all green, and he's like, oh, he's squinting. He's like, oh, he's waking up looking. I feel like that's me in the morning some days. I'm waking up and I'm squinting, I'm seeing the stuff. I'm like, what? I'm like, what the hell did I do, man?
He has a profound influence, maybe an unhealthy influence. I've got to say, fuck, dude. Instantly after this, GameStop stock increased by 25%, and he was set to become a billionaire. I mean, there are articles saying that he's set with his options, his option calls, and with his holdings. He's set to become a billionaire in after hours, something like that. But GameStop came out with an announcement, and basically they dick butted him. So he didn't become a billionaire, which is very upsetting. And also, I'd like to say, I'm not sure how much money he's taken from this. I've heard that he took $15 million. He sold about $15 million of the stock. It's really cool that he's actually holding. This is crazy that this is a real guy who is live streaming. He's so irreverent, and his attitude is idyllic. The attitude that he brings to this system, so cool. I have massive respect for him. It's getting really wild now though, because E-Trade, the platform that he trades on, is considering removing him. He even said in a live stream that he's unsure if when he logs in the morning, he will have access to his account, which is wild.
I seen those headlines. E-Trade, I see those headlines. I gotta check. I'm checking in every day. I'll log in. I'm like, are my positions still there? Are they still there? Let me check. They're still there. Wait, they're still there. Okay, they're still there. I wasn't even like paying attention to the details. They're still there. But each morning I'm like, I don't know what's happening. So I go, all right, well, don't make me, but E-Trade, I'll do this with HTML. I'll do that. Don't make me remove it. I know how to do that. I'm just kidding. No, I'm going to put it back. We're good. Those positions are there. But I'll do it. I'll remove it. Don't make me.
I feel like that's sort of unfair. Also, when he talks during his live stream, the market actually reacts to him speaking. Like, they will put a halt on trading at peaks. They're completely 100% manipulating the stock market because they don't like this guy. That's it. They don't like meme investors. This is a serious thing. Stock market's not about making money, all right? It's about manipulation, okay? It's not about normal people making money. It's about manipulating the market for extended periods of time. And if you're manipulating the market, I can't. Well, actually, I can. I can put a stop. I can halt your trading, which these are reasons for Wall Street to stop trading on a stock, to halt trading. None of these reasons, in my opinion, are reasons to, I don't think any of these fit for what old Roaring Kitty's done. CNN yesterday asked the SEC if they were investigating Gill again, and they declined to comment, which means they 100% are. Massachusetts is probably investigating him. This is just so up. What is wrong with people? What is wrong with, like, I just don't understand. It makes me a little upset, to be honest. I said to be honest again, I'm sorry. Let me know what you think below about this whole situation. GameStop just announced that they're performing an equity sale soon, which is probably gonna f the stock up a lot. And yeah, it seems like they don't want this to happen anymore, which makes me want it to happen more. But at the same time, I do have respect for the financial institution, the world. Obviously, stocks, people have their entire livelihoods in there. You know, it's cool to have fun though. Why is this not allowed to happen, but politicians can just do what they do and just get away with it? You know, that's kind of my big thing, really. In spite of, you know, whatever nonsense I'm saying in this video, I'm just trying to get a rise out of people, little rage bait, etc. I would like to question this as rationally as possible. Let me know what you guys think down below.